I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat. Yo, grew my hair and took the grill out. Think it's time to put it back in. Trying to get into that big house, turn the crib into the mansion. Needed something with that big bounce. You know I had to hit Jackson. Aaron Rodgers with the quick routes. I'm with the gang, we packing. We on the field at Lambo. Might peel in a Lambo. Running drills in my camo. They know what the M stand for. Still got fam in Hawaii, yeah. Couple fans in the lobby, yeah. Couple grand in my pocket, yeah. Couple grams of wasabi, yeah. Eye it up, no glasses. Light it up, no matches. Wife it up, no ratchets. Might turn my wife to an actress. And we gon' make a movie, no Kim K. Give a fuck about what your friends say. I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
I'm just sticking to the code, I keep it so G. She asked me what I smoke, I'm smoking OG. I don't fool with too many, only catch me 4 deep. Gotta stay away from snakes, swear these people so creep. I've been grinding for a minute, many labels so sleep. These rappers drop a song, be hot for about a week. I put Gucci on my toes, I keep some cold feet. I ain't paying for no hoe, you niggas know me. I'm about to body the beat. I keep me a hottie with me. She wanna for a fee. Give me that for free. Keep me some money on me. Smoking the gas key. You with me, sheesh. But need cheap keep.
I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
Phone started jumping, what a day. Swear to God I need it, now I can't afford to wait. I just had a fan hit me up from Kuwait. Told him this would happen and we not a minute late. Seen them down bad, now they tryna hate. Same ones try to hit me for the raise. Got a meal, now they coming with a blaze. Check the numbers, fam, I swear I'm getting paid. I'm a Don just like the Perrier. It's one time when I'm looking at a face. On the low like I'm pushing up the bass. Come down and I'll meet him at a gate. Got a check and I bought myself a place. They get some money and they blow it on bait. I don't flex but I'm pushing all the weight. Told them all I swear I got it's what it takes. Phone started jumping, what a day. Swear to God I need it, now I can't afford to wait. I just had a fan hit me up from Kuwait. Told him this would happen and we not a minute late.
Yeah, head up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test, now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working them up till like midnight. It's real life. I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in mine, yeah.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah. On the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah. On the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On the road, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream every single weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And guys, Bitcoin getting a bit of a continuation to the downside here with our money flow coming out. We are getting very close to some extremely important levels of support that we've been looking at here on the live stream and on the channel in general, looking at it on the market updates, the live streams, etc. What is next here for Bitcoin, guys, as we come up to what we would think is the end of the cycle going into what we would expect as a bear market year? How low can we go without assuming that the top is in and the bear market is underway? I'm going to cover the local levels. We'll talk to you about where I'm expecting a bounce to come in, if we're expecting a bounce, and what the money flow is looking like. Are we getting the bigger drop to the downside? Is the bull market over? Well, I'm going to cover everything on tonight's live stream show. Shout out to the CandleMafia. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you guys for hanging out with us here on the live stream. We got Nick Dunn in the chat. We got Mr. New Creation. What is going on? We got JF in the chat. Said, pump it, everyone. Come on, everybody buy. If we all buy together, we can save it, guys. We got Lord Bra in the chat. What is going on? We got DJ Mad Thomas in the chat. Fox 3. I almost said Fox Tree. Fox 3. H-Bar to the moon. We got JB in the chat. Nick Dunn. We got Jesse, our like police, and newest CandleMafia mod. What is going on, man? Thank you for being here and keeping the chat under control in these crazy, crazy dumping times. But if you guys saw my market update from earlier, guys, we were approaching extremely key levels of support. So again, I'll kind of give you guys my thought process, how I am personally trading this price action. I am still holding my short, obviously, as our money flow was coming out last week. But we have some major resistance above. I'll talk about kind of the doorway or the line in the sand that I am looking to flip to potentially dodge this bullet that we're looking at with the money flow coming out etc. But I'm going to cover everything with you guys. We got a pretty big update to do here on the charts. Shout out to Lord Bra said, Frankie, we're all effed. Shout out to Lord Bra. Yeah, well, again, guys, I am here just to bring the information. And unfortunately, we do have a lot of things pointing to the downside. But I'll give you guys the bullish case. As always, I'll give you the bearish case. I'll let you know which way I'm leaning and exactly why. And then I'll show you guys again, even if we get these bigger drops to the downside, there's going to be longs to be had along the way on the bounces. But yeah, it is... shout out to Swift said, why not just a brief bear, not full-blown, then a blow-off in mid-2026? Shout out to Swiffle Crypto. Interesting situation there, or interesting thought process. Actually, if you tuned into the live stream last week, I actually talked about that exact scenario where we could potentially look for some kind of a muted bear market, and then eventually, mid-2026, if they start printing the money, maybe we could see the push to the upside. But again, once we jump into the charts, I will show you exactly what I'm looking at. Shout out to Jennifer says, none of this makes sense. Shout out to Jennifer. Yeah, well, we'll take it. Gold looking strong. Shout out to Flat Smack. Yeah, gold just, gold's insane right now. I missed the boat on gold, guys. I'm not going to lie. I've been like about to buy gold for the longest time, and I slept on it. I missed the boat. Too late at this point. I got to wait for some kind of crazy dump to get back into gold. But yeah, we got a lot to look at on the charts, guys. Don't forget to smash that like button if you appreciate the free content we drop here on the channel every single weekday with these live streams and market updates. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next updates. Like number 87 is mine. Shout out to Jay Violet. Let's go. We got everybody in the chat. So without further ado, in the last bull market, many said that the double top was not the end. Now everybody is talking about the bull needs a blow-off top. Yeah, shout out to Mr. New Creation. Again, guys, this, my bias comes off of the charts. I don't care about the narratives. I've covered exactly why I approach the charts like this. We look back in hindsight, and it has never done me wrong just looking at the charts, regardless of the narratives, this time is different situation. I am always going to stick with the charts, and it's going to be no different this cycle. But without further ado, we got a lot to look at here on the charts. It's not supposed to make sense. Shout out to Toshi Silver. But yeah, we got a lot to look at here. So without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and jump on into the charts and see where our next landing pad is. Let's jump on into the charts. Let's get into it. All right, guys, let's see. I'll have to go back and try and find that episode. Shout out to Swiffle. Not exactly sure what you're talking about there. But yeah, smash that like button. DCA. Bag it all up. Oh, God. I'm sure. I can already tell people are scared right now. But, guys, as we take a look here at the charts, if we just I'm going to talk about how we got to where we are and the overall situation. We'll go over the lower time frames. But, of course, at first, I'm going to do the top-down analysis and take a look here starting on the higher time frames and why we are at such a critical moment in Bitcoin. That doesn't really make sense, but in Bitcoin's current cycle. So here we are, right? Now, obviously, last week, as we were looking at our main range volume profile here, we were getting a little bit of a rejection. We got the push to the downside, got the bounce here, guys, into our key levels of resistance. But of course, right, we were looking at two major levels last week on the chart, and that does come in on those big liquidity levels that we had. We had one to the downside, and which was right here, which we have come down and swept at least a portion of it. And then our next major level of liquidity is sitting up here above the $116,000 high. And, I didn't really, because of the money flow, guys, and how choppy the money flow has been, I kind of didn't really have a big preference. Now, obviously, when we look at the indicators at face value, of course, money flow is coming to the downside. We had a little bit of a pop up, but as always, right, this could just be a little fake out for a lower high and an eventual crossover into the red. And just over time, right, this is generally trending to the downside. So the charts were pointing towards the continuation. I am still holding my short position here on WEX up about $3,500. So, part of the reason why I was looking to continue to hold that short position obviously had to do with the money flow coming out, indicating that we would likely see another lower high and a lower low come in, which we have now seen happen. But we have now come down and swept out some of this liquidity. And, what are the chances of getting a big bounce from this level? Well, I'll get into this a little bit more in just a second, but just to kind of talk about how we got to where we are. Money flow was coming out last week. Always going to be anticipating the lackluster retracements, lower highs and lower lows. We are now seeing that play out. And when we look at our 4-hour money flow here, indeed, this did end up being a lower high before eventually coming back down into the red. And you guys can start to see some things, depending on how experienced you are looking at the charts or understanding what we look at here on the channel, right? You can see we do have some lower lows on our price action, some higher lows on our momentum waves with the VWAP coming up, looking to print a green dot here, which could potentially give us some kind of a local bounce to the upside. But I have to say, when we look at the money flow, guys, here, my bias still has to be for lackluster bounces, lower highs and lower lows to come, which is not only the bias here on the 4-hour, but of course, when we start looking at those higher time frames, such as the daily, the 2-day money flow is still trending to the downside here, guys. It has been pretty flat, but overall, right, this is just continuing to trend to the downside. So you have the 4-hour money flow coming out, which is the local signal for the continuation down and a potential continuation of the continuation down. But you start looking at the 2-day money flow coming out, taking a look at the daily here. Our money flow came back into the green. This has been so choppy lately. Again, not really a strong bias here on the daily. We're in the red, we're in the green, we're in the red, we're in the green, we're in the red, we're in the green. Just like totally chopped up money flow here. But when you start looking at the 2-day to kind of smooth out that noise, 2-day money flow continues to trend out. We have the 3-day money flow trending out, even the 5-day money flow continuing to the downside here. So this is something that has me a little bit concerned. If we see these high time frame money flow crossovers, why does this make me a little bit worried, guys? Well, number one, we are obviously coming up to very key support. I mean, currently we are attempting to hold around this value area high, which is, of course, a very, very big level of support to stay above in order to keep the opportunity for new all-time highs open. Once we wind up getting accepted into this range, I think we all know at this point I am going to be looking for lower prices. We have one more level here that I'll bring up in a second. We've covered it many a times. But if we don't wind up holding that level, guys, when we look at this money flow trending out, if this money flow crosses red, right, the overall longer-term trend to the downside is much more likely to continue. And once we get accepted into this range, the next big levels of support, assuming we're not going to hold this last level I'm going to bring up in a minute, right? $96,000 to $97,000 PLC and $92,000 to $91,000 value area low. And at this point, guys, again, 50-week moving average is coming in. I hate to be super repetitive, but as we are still sitting on this critical support level, this is still like the end-all be-all level in my own personal opinion. Maybe I'll go into the higher time frames after this and kind of talk about the possibility of this time being different or something like that. It's obviously not impossible, but, the question is, if they start printing money, are we going to be able to see the cycle extend? Potentially, right? If they start printing money and the stock market melts up, you would have to anticipate Bitcoin to follow. But what is the price action going to look like until that money printer turns on, right? And we do still have some potential room here to come down, especially if all this high time frame money flow comes out. So when you look at the bearish puzzle pieces, right? Number one, we're approaching the major level of support, right? The 50-week moving average has indicated 2 weekly candle closures below that 50-week has indicated the bear market, guys, in every single cycle with literally zero exception. There is no chart area on the chart that I can look at and be like, well, technically we closed 2 weekly candles over here and we continued up every single time with zero exception. Those weekly candle closures below that 50-week, and at the end of the day, just breaking down below this decisively, it's very difficult to get back up above that, and it oftentimes does indicate the bear market coming in. We could see this back here in 2014. We could see it back here in 2018. You break down below, you start closing those weekly candles, right? I'll pull up the weekly chart, right? You start closing those weekly candles down here, bearish retest, bear market, and I've covered this many a times, which is why I'm trying to go through it very quickly. Multiple weekly candle closures, retest, bear market. And as you can see here, guys, we are getting very, very, very close to this level, and I'll dig into this a little bit more in just a second. But just to kind of show you at face value, right? Like, this is an extremely critical level of support. I know there's probably a few people out there saying, but what about this time? What about this time? Right? What about down here? And these are just totally different situations, guys. It's not just the fact that we're approaching this key level. It is the timing of coming down to approach this level. This 50-week moving average is typically the level that holds us up throughout the bull market. But when we take a look at this from a cycle perspective, we are coming around to the end of what we'd expect to be the end of the cycle. And we've lost the bull market support band, right? And then this is the level that we need to hold above. We close those multiple weekly candles down here. It's not looking good, right? In my own personal opinion. I'm not saying it guarantees that you come down, but any bounces we get down from below here, maybe the $97,000 POC, you have to be aware, especially if you have the multiple weekly candle closures and the high time frame money flow coming out like we do on the 2-day. I have to view this as lackluster bounces for retracements to bearishly retest that 50-week moving average and see a bigger continuation to the downside. So just very simply put, guys, we are coming up to the level in my opinion. And every other time we've come down to this level throughout the cycle, I have not been very concerned, right? We've been looking for the higher lows to come in before the higher highs, looking for the higher lows to come in before the higher highs. But with where we are in the cycle, and with 2026 being an expected bear market year if you're paying attention to the traditional 4-year cycle. And of course, there is a situation where maybe this time is different, but it is never my base case, right? But it's why it's so important. It's the timing of the cycle. It is, on top of that, we have the weekly bearish divergence confirmed up here, or multiple weekly bearish divergences confirmed on the weekly, the 2-week, the monthly, right? We have this monthly bearish divergence, which is not typically a very bullish sign. This is this very similar signals that we saw in the previous top at 2021. So just bringing up those bearish cases, right? Like you have the high time frame money flow coming out. These are just things that I can factually say are popping up on the chart that make me a little bit concerned this time around testing that 50-week moving average. There's a reason why I'm not that worried down here. There's a reason I'm not worried down here. There's a reason I'm not worried down here. Not only were we seeing bullish confirmations, but we had plenty of time for the cycle to continue before we started to get towards the end. But now as we are coming down here towards the end of the cycle to retest this, very, very dangerous situation. So, and I cannot overstate the seriousness of this level, right? That's why I'm kind of harping on it right now. Now, with all that being said, I know it sounds like super bearish, like, oh my God, like it's all over, right? I'm not saying the top is necessarily in, but once we get below that 50-week moving average, we have to start asking ourselves those tough questions. It's like, once you start getting below there, it does historically start to look like maybe the top is much more likely to be in here on Bitcoin at $126,000. Now, of course, it's not over until the fat support breaks. And if we look at kind of the bullish case, here's the things that the bulls have going for them, right? Obviously, we know every top has come in on Bitcoin, again, without exception, Q4 post-halving year, Q4 post-halving year, Q4 post-halving year. This is now Q4 post-halving year. So with that being said, right, the things that we can kind of look at that are on the opposite end of that coin, right, I have to cover the bullish and the bearish case, and this is what makes me feel so concerned, right, just to be very clear. It's not just based off, oh my God, we're dumping, I'm scared, right? It has to do with the actual TA, has to do with the key levels. There's a lot of thought and analysis that goes into this to come to this conclusion, right? But what are some of the okay signs, right? Well, if we take off market cipher B off the chart, technically, we still have some time left in Q4, right? And number two, we are still technically above our 50-week moving average, right? At the, we could potentially even come down here, slip the 50-week, and still have an opportunity to get a quick push back to the upside. And as long as we can close those weekly candles above the 50-week, I think we could still have the doorway open to new all-time highs, especially if we have some time in Q4. That's kind of the bullish case, right? You still have some time in Q4. You're still technically above your key level of support. But I'm just going to say it right now, guys. Once we lose this level, it gets a lot harder to start to try and see those bullish scenarios playing out, right? Especially when it's so similar to what we've seen in the past. So those are kind of like a couple of the bullish puzzle pieces. And then obviously you have the thought of like, maybe this time is different, but at the end of the day, even if this time is different, guys, like we could still have some downside, right? Like, and we talked about this on Friday about how we could potentially see a little bit of a muted bear market based off the fact that we have institutional money in, and what happens if they start printing money, maybe mid 2026, they replace Powell, right? And then they start printing money aggressively. Like if that melts up the stock market, I will be looking for Bitcoin to follow. But the question is like, what does that price action look like? And I forgot who said it in the chat. They were talking about what if we have a little bit of a muted bear market? And it's funny because we talked about that last week where it's like, even if it is going to be a muted bear market, like it would still kind of line up, right? It's like towards the end of the cycle, the top comes in, and then maybe we don't get like the full 70, whatever it is. Last cycle it was 77%. Maybe this cycle it's like 75% or something like that. But maybe it's not that aggressive, right? Maybe we just see, a drop to the downside leading into the money printing. And then even if we don't go into the traditional 4-year cycle, there is still a possibility that this could be very brutal on the way down before that money printing comes in. And again, I'm never going to base my analysis. I'm never going to base my decisions, off expecting this time to be different. I would say there is a lot more stuff that looks a little bit more bearish than bullish on the chart. But you always have to be aware that, things can change very quickly, and, this market can flip on a dime. We've seen crypto flip on a dime many a times. So, we are going to be aware. And, of course, we haven't broken that level of support. Q4 is still open, right? If we could stay above there, technically doorways to all-time highs are still open, right? But your hope is that you could get that to come in very quickly, see a new all-time high on Bitcoin, and then, hopefully the altcoins would follow. But if we don't see that, right? If we do not see this, guys, I know the question is, what about altcoins, right? Well, if we don't see this happen, it's going to be really hard, right? If we don't get the bullish case to play out and we do just wind up losing this 50-week moving average and the 4-year cycle continues to play out as you would expect, right? Like altcoins are going to get absolutely demolished in that situation, right? And I don't make the rules, right? I'm just bringing the information on the charts. And, I think a lot of you guys, if you watch my channel for a long time, you will know that more often than not, guys, when we are coming down, I am usually very contrarian, where it's like, I'm not scared, guys, don't worry. But every other time I've been in a situation like that, where we're at these like macro lows and everybody's scared of the bear market, and I'm kind of here to tell you that, hey, guys, no worries, right? We're coming into a key level of support. We're holding on top of our previous structure, right? There's really nothing to be worried about here. I'm going to be looking for higher lows and higher highs. Not only did we have a lot of time left in the cycle, but we also had massive bullish confirmations down here with money flow coming up, indicating we'd see new all-time highs. If this was on the chart, guys, I would call for it, right? But we don't have that. We don't have the bullish confirmations. We don't have the money flow coming up, and we don't have a ton of time left in the traditional 4-year cycle. We are running out of time here. And of course, like I know a lot of people are going to say, well, the 4-year cycles, could change, right? And I'm totally open to that. But it's funny because like a lot of people who are calling for the cycle to extend are also calling for, but we haven't had alt season. We have to have alt season, right? Like you need to have that parabolic move up, like someone mentioned in the chat before. And this is not guaranteed, guys. So we're not there yet, but just understand if we lose this level, guys, you're going to see my tune. I mean, not my tune really won't even change, right? But you're going to see me like start to say like, now we don't even really have that like last chance, right? It's just going to start looking much more bearish there. So I pray that we can hold these key levels. And again, we're going to go lower time frame here, and I'll talk about exactly what we're looking for, some of the local signs of strength that we can see to maybe dodge this bullet. But at this point, guys, it's like Bitcoin needs to dodge this bullet. There's just so much stuff pointing down. So we're kind of just hoping, and it's the same thing that I've said on like almost ever since we put the top in here and came back down. In order for me to call for all-time highs, I need something on the chart. I just don't really see it. So in order to see all-time highs, we just kind of need to do it, right? I've said this many, many a times. And the reason for just having to see the move up and not being able to just call for a high probability of that happening is because I don't have the signs on the chart, right? So again, like I understand there's a lot of people out there like hoping the cycle's not over, and me too, right? I'm in that camp as well. I'm always rooting for price to go up. But it is not me just saying like, oh my God, we're coming down, we're bearish, right? Like I am dying to find something down here, and I even find myself like trying to like force stuff like, oh, well, maybe this will fake out, and it's just like there's not a lot down here. It's definitely not a clear, beautiful low for a massive higher high to come in. At least that's not looking like the very clear higher probability move. I would say the higher probability move based off the TA is, even if we do get a big retracement up, is still going to be lower highs and lower lows, again, until just proven otherwise. So again, don't shoot the messenger, guys. Don't shoot the messenger. Let me bring down the actually, I'll just leave it. I was going to lower the camera a little bit, but I kind of feel like a floating head here. We have a lot of confluence down here as well. So let's go ahead and break that down. If we come on down to a lower time frame, obviously you have your 50-week moving average coming in at about $103,000. And then on top of that, right, when we pull up our spider lines, let me go ahead and pull up the Bybit chart, hide our macro range, hide the liquidity, right? So we have the 50-week moving average, and this is a zone, right? Between the 50-week moving average, we also have a daily and a weekly MPOC down there. I believe we also have a daily and a weekly horizontal. So really between about $103K all the way down to about $101,840. Like this is that big level. There's your 50-week moving average. If we come down here, we are hoping that it is some kind of a quick drop down, and then we do not want to hang out down here for very long. We need to reclaim quickly, and we definitely do not want to close more than one weekly candle down here. Otherwise, again, it is looking very, very bearish. This is honestly the only big level to the downside that I can see on the chart before we start calling down towards 96 to 97 and then 91 to $92,000. And I'll try to cover those levels with you guys today as well. But when we pull up our local range here, actually, you know what I'll do? Actually, yeah, I'll just pull up this local range, right? So the hope here is actually bring up the this local range, right? It's like, hey, at face value, we're deviating below the volume profile. We have the 4-hour bullish divergences. Technically, we are putting that in at a key level of support, which is this 786 at $106,200. But if we lose this, guys, the only thing I can really look down to is to come fill this wick in full down between 103 and 101.8. And once again, like this is the level. We must bounce here. And if we lose it temporarily, that's totally okay, right? It's just like it's really the high time frame candle closures down here, and we're gonna have to let the price action develop to see what happens down here. But it's like honestly, like even on the 4 hour, it's hard for like if we dump down here tonight, it's like this 4 hour money flow crossover is gonna be fresh. Right, it's not like we have come down here on a beautiful red money flow wave, and then we're looking to put in bull divs here with money flow coming up. We just don't have that, right? It's like money flow. I mean, still be a fresh money flow crossover into the red. So this is really the next big area that I would be interested in for potential long positions or even just bounces in general. And of course, right, if we hold our support here with our 4 hour bullish divergence, which is getting pretty close to printing, you can see that VWAP coming up towards that 0 line. Once this crosses over, we will get that green dot, which will confirm or start to print our 4 hour bullish divergence. But again, does this look like a really strong low? In my opinion, not really. Now, could we just scam up and rip into new all-time highs? Of course, right? I always say that because, you know, anything can happen in the market, right? But we've made a lot of these calls for these continuations down based off our money flow, and it has been right almost every single time. Like, even when you zoom out on the higher time frame price action, right? Like, this was based off a 4 hour money flow crossover into the red. We shorted the all-time high. We rode that sucker all the way down to 107K. Accompanied by a 4 hour money flow crossover, right? Then we get the ride to the upside. Money flow crosses green. Even here, money flow crosses into the red. Lower highs and lower lows continue. Even here, got the drop down, took the short here at the high, rode it all the way down. And again, that money flow crossover was coming into the red. So, you know, when like even down here, it's like, hey, we're getting a bounce from our value area low, right? At the time, it was, it was still here at our value area low. It's like, sure, we can bounce, but overall, it is going to be looked at because of our money flow coming into the red, lackluster retracement, lower high, lower low, right? So I just have to look for the same thing here, right? This is how I trade. So, you know, even if we get a bounce off this 4 hour bull div, am I expecting this to be a high probability move all the way back to new all-time highs? Probably not. The only way I can see that happening is if we get some kind of shocking rip to the upside, all the indicators fake out, and I'm going to talk about some of the key levels we need to flip for me to start feeling a lot better about maybe dodging the bullet, right, for that bullish case to play out. But you have a lot of work to do, and again, you just have to totally fake out that money flow, which is oftentimes not the case. Even here, right, you got a little fake out into the green again. Right down here, right? You get the initial drop down, the big liquidation wick, money flow crosses red, we get the bounce, money flow comes back into the green, but overall that trend does continue down. So if this looked the opposite of what it looks like right now, if that money flow is in the red crossing into the green, I'd feel a lot better about this. So even if we get a bounce here, I would be looking at it to be a lackluster retracement into a lot of these key levels of resistance, which I'm going to get into in just a minute. We have a couple of really big levels. If reclaiming, right, we have a kind of two signs of strength. One is a little bit more local. The second is a little bit more extreme. And if we could flip that second level, that's where I start to feel a little better about seeing new all-time highs. But we have a lot of work to get there. Or a lot of work to do in order to get there. But I'm going to come into chat real quick, and then we'll cover those local levels for you guys. Let's see. It was a good run. If good means awful, shout out to Jay Doolin. And it's not over yet, guys. It's not over yet. Let's see. Hopefully something bullish. If not, guess I'm cooked. Shout out to Derek. And again, I'm not here to spread fear, guys. I'm not even here saying that the top is in, right? It's going to be a lot easier to understand, kind of anticipate the top being in once we wind up losing that last level of support. And again, 50-week moving average, daily and weekly MPOC, daily and weekly horizontal, and if we pull up our Heikinashi spider lines, you can see the spider line runs right through here as well. And then when we zoom out, right, let me actually go ahead and do this real quick, right? So 50-week moving average, 2 MPOCs, 2 daily, 1 daily and weekly horizontal level. You have the spider line, and if you just look at this from a clean price action perspective, I'll turn off the ranges, turn off all the horizontals, right? 50-week moving average is directly on this spider line, guys, and these spider lines, I know it seems like they're just magical levels on the chart, but they are 100% reliable. Resistance, support, resistance, you lost it, you reclaim, support, resistance, support, you even get support down here, right? You wick above, get back down, you play around, bearish retest, you send it back down, you get the push up, resistance, right? So it only makes sense if we're going to come fill this wick to come tap that spider line in confluence with the 50-week moving average and all those horizontal levels I just showed you. And if you just look at this pretty from a higher time frame perspective, right? It's like it is pretty much just a trend line here, right? You lose the trend line, where's your next spider line, right? It's very similar to like when you look at your macro value area. It's like at this point, you lose this spider line. Your next spider line sits all the way down here at about $82,000, where we also have a lot of support. But of course, coming down here would be much more bearish, right? Like even if we dig deeper into this range, come on down to a lower time frame, right? At that point, you're losing your critical support, get stuck inside the volume profile. 96 to 97 would be next. Lose that. 91 to $92,000 to be that next key level. And I've covered this level a million times. Every time we play around with this value area high, we talk about these lower levels. And we do have confluence down at this value area low. But again, just like I've talked about in the past when we talk about this level, right? It's like you have the golden pocket, you have the value area low. I'll even hide some of this stuff to clean up the chart, right? At this point, let's just assume we do wind up losing the 50-week. We get stuck in here. We wind up coming down to that value area low. A lot of people would be looking at this as a major level of support to put in a higher low before seeing a new all-time high on Bitcoin. And that would be what I would be looking at if we were at a different point in the cycle and the high time frame money flow looked totally different. But with all of our money flow coming out, I have to look at any bounces off of this key level. If we come down to 91 to 92 as lackluster bounces, anticipating the high time frame money flow, right? If we get that drop down, you have to just think to yourself, what is this money flow on the 2-day going to look like, right? Well, it's probably going to be in the red, which would make me look for what? Lackluster bounces, lower highs, and lower lows to come, right? Which could push us down towards that $85,000 to $82,000 level. And of course, maybe continue us into a deeper bear market. So, will we be looking for bounces here, right? I'm a trader. In the premium Discord, we will be looking for longs down at these levels, but they are definitely going to be looked at as day trades or short-term swing trades for an eventual rollover to lower prices. So I'm not even going to cover this in real detail right now just because we're still pretty far away from it. But just to kind of show you guys where that next area of confluence is, it's not really much below, even if you just draw it as a trend line, right? There's really not much below where we are right now, right? Lose this, at least coming down into this profile, in my opinion. Lose that, could be headed lower towards that bigger spider line, right? And even when we look at the spider lines, I know we look for those fast fills of the volume profile, but you could even see here, it's like you tap this spider line, you bounce, where do you go? Right into that massive spider line. There's not a lot in between, right? Then you get the rejection, right back down to the spider line. You play around, you lose the spider line, you come lower. Right? So sometimes you can make those kind of big jumps, right? Break above your spider line zone, boom, right up into the next spider line. And in this case, it would look something like this, right? Like if we don't hold the spider line that we're holding right now, or that we're approaching right now, it's like, I'm not saying it has to be an instant drop down to $82,000, but you would say if you can't reclaim this, it's like, well, hey, not only are you not able to reclaim the spider line, you're not able to reclaim the 50-week moving average, you're back inside your macro volume profile, and you're going to be expecting to start that bigger move down towards, $91,000 to $92,000, in my own personal opinion, right? And then again, it's like, if I could call for massive confirmations there, even back here, right? We talked about, if we come down here, it's going to be really scary, but, if we can get bullish divergences with money flow coming back up, then we can look for a bigger continuation. I just don't see that happening here, right? Even on this move to the downside, money flow was already thick in the red on the 2-day. And if we look at the daily, right, we had been in that red money flow wave all the way since up here. And it's like, well, hey, what are you expecting? Lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. And then once we wind up putting in that bullish divergence, that daily money flow comes up. But all the higher time frame money flow was much healthier. Now, if we get that, it's like all that high time frame money flow is coming out. It just makes it a lot more sketchy. So I know I've been talking about this a lot, but it is extremely, extremely important, and you can see all the confluence there. Spider line, 50-week moving average. You have the horizontal levels, daily, weekly, right? So it's really this zone that we must hold. We wind up getting stuck underneath that. 91 to 92K is going to be the next big level to look at. Of course, we have the POC, but that's really just local. And then when we start losing that, we're looking to come down here towards all of this confluence down here between 82 and $85,000. And we'll cross that bridge. Hopefully we don't have to see it, right? Hopefully we can just stay above this zone. Q4 stays alive, and we see new all-time highs. That's my hope, right? But money flow is just not pointing in that direction. Now, where is the point where we can say maybe Bitcoin is avoiding or dodging this bullet that we see forming here, this bearish bullet that we see forming here on the charts? Well, for me personally, there's two big levels that I'll be looking at locally. First thing I would really like to see, and I'll just pull it up on our main volume profile, is clearly, guys, we are below this volume profile now. So if we do get a bounce from where we are right now, the only thing I can say is maybe if we can get above about, POC says at about 111,200. If we can get above this anchored VWAP will probably be moving down. If we could flip on top of between about 111,300 to $112,000, this would open the door to potentially come up and sweep that upper liquidity that we had marked out on the chart before, right? This upper liquidity here. This would be the first sign of local strength, right? But we still have to be careful around this macro golden pocket with the liquidity sitting here. Because, again, you might just want to come up and sweep out that liquidity before continuing down. And because this is a golden pocket, it could be an area to put in a lower high before continuing lower, right? Meaning putting in a lower low. So this is going to be level number 2, and then at the end of the day, right, it's really the level. Local strength would be above this POC anchored VWAP zone between 111.3 and 112K. Once we get back above there, right, say we're about back above 112K, I could turn this range off, pull up our previous range volume profile. Now we're back in this range. At that point, we're anticipating the POC with all this liquidity. Once we get above here, I start to feel a little bit better because obviously once you get above that POC, the next place for price to go is going to be that value area high sitting at about $120,600. But of course, we still have the 786 sitting up there, which is really the line in the sand to see new all-time highs. So once we get above, call it 117 to 118K, I start to think to myself, hey, maybe, just maybe, depending on what money flow looks like at the time, we'll have all new money flow information as we get the price action up here. Maybe money flow looks a lot better, in which case we can look for potential local rejections off the value area high and then eventually get a breakout here for new all-time highs. But you can see here, we are pretty far away, right? I mean, we're not as far away from 112K. It's only about a 6% pump to the upside. But to really see that first major sign of strength, it would be to get above that POC at about $118,000. It's 11%, right? Still not that far away, but that would be the real big level to get above in order for me to be like, hey, maybe we can dodge this bullet. But it's still going to be like very cautiously looking for that bullet to be dodged, right? Because we know this is still key resistance. When we look at this from a clean perspective, obviously our macro golden pocket 786 is a big level to get above, right? We could get the rejection there, continue the downtrend, massive drop down. If we get above that, that is where that invalidation of the lower high comes in, and we can say, hey, maybe we can send it up for the end of Q4. But once that happens, guys, once we see that stuff on the charts and I feel good about this being the situation, I will be the first person to let you know. Until then, we have to be very, very careful around not only the local levels of resistance, which, again, take off some of this stuff real quick, which, number one, 111,000, right? Like this box sitting right here is going to be the next local level I'm looking at, right? Let's assume maybe we get a bounce off this sweep of liquidity, get the push up, get above the value area low. This is zone number 1 to get above. I'm going to be looking for shorts up here 100%. But if we can get back above there, we're going to look to, get above 112K and see the bigger continuation. But until then, biggest levels of resistance on the chart right now for me locally, if we get back in this range, sitting right here on the POC Golden Pocket 786 anchored VWAP confluence between 110,378 and 111,812. And as a matter of fact, you probably just drag that up to about 112K, right? Because that brings you into your next big level. So if we get the move up here, very careful around that first level. Once we get above that, we can look to push into 114,000 and see if we can go sweep that liquidity up here above 116K. So that's what we're looking at, guys. I'm holding the short position. We'll see if we can hold this bullish divergence. If you're looking for the local move up, the thing to look for is this green dot to print on the 4-hour time frame to give you the bullish divergence. And on top of that, if we get that 4-hour green dot, you can look for that 15-minute money flow to cross over into the green at the same time, giving a market cipher beat bullish setup, 1/16th bullish setup, right? That 15-minute money flow crosses into the green with that 4-hour green dot. You can look for the local continuation up. But if we don't get that, guys, the next big level to look at is the big level down between 103 and 101.8. All right, let me jump back into chat here. Shout out to EXO, said, I wish I wasted my money on poker instead of crypto. Shout out to EXO. I feel your pain, brother. I feel your pain. Yo, shout out to Fantasy Killer, says, when Frankie's dad sold his bag, that was the signal that the top was in, guys. I actually mentioned this, guys. If you don't know, my dad trades as well. He's actually a big stock trader, but I'm not big as in like well known, but he's like big into day trading stocks, swing trading stocks. I don't know his exact strategy, but he also trades crypto now, and he's one of those guys. We have totally different trading styles. I'm a big technical guy. I'll be honest, he's more of like a sentiment investor, and he nails it, guys. Like, I never try to force the charts on him because what he does really does work very well, and he did sell his Bitcoin, guys. I'm not going to lie. He sold his Bitcoin up here, and this man almost never misses a top. And again, I'm not going to base my information, I'm not going to base my decisions off of that, but it would be very interesting if my dad sells the top once again. He is a top seller, I'm not going to lie. But that would be wild to think back to. But Yeah, it's funny that you remember that. Shout out to, I forgot who said it. Shout out to you. Shout out to Bitfrog. No, I don't know who said it. But let's see. Bitfrog says, do you have any McDonald's applications lying around? I need like 10 of them. Shout out to Bitfrog. I'll talk to my manager. I start tomorrow. So I'll talk to my manager and see if we have any open positions for you, brother. And maybe we'll be coworkers. But guys, in all realness, just to kind of talk about this real quick. If you are afraid of the bear market, let's just assume we don't dodge the bullet. Bear market comes in. Let me just be clear. There is no better time to learn how to trade these charts and make money trading Bitcoin, whether price goes up or down, than right now. If this winds up being a bear market, right, there is no better time to learn how to trade, right? Because this is just another bull market for a trader, right? Because we can make money on the way down. So it's not over, right? It's just the spot bags, you have to maybe wait again. Again, that is if we don't hold this 50-week moving average. You have to sit on the spot bags a little bit, look to buy the bear market, but there's going to be plenty of money. We're going to be bing-bonging this sucker all the way to the downside if the bear market does indeed come in. So money doesn't stop, right? The money never stops here for a trader. I'll never forget the day. It's like, when I found crypto, and crypto was 24/7, unlike the stock market, it's like, that's amazing, right? Like, the market's open 24/7. I love this. And then, you figure out how to short the market, and it's like, now it doesn't even matter if you're in a bull market or a bear market. There's plenty of money to be made. And obviously, if you watch the channel long enough, you will know I started my channel like, I believe it was in January. Well, no, I think I posted my first video in like February. So it was like somewhere in here is when I started my channel, and there was plenty of money to be made here shorting that bear market and everything in between, right? So if you're here as a holder and you are interested in trading, don't let the bear market deter you from learning how to trade. As a matter of fact, it's probably the best time to learn how to trade, because it'll be the one thing making you money as the spot positions come down. I'm not telling you to hold your bags, obviously, but all right, let's see. Never sell your Bitcoin, short it first and then sell it. Shout out to Nicholas Perry. Let's see. I hope we hit very soon 86K and then back to all-time high. Shout out to Lord Bra. And just to kind of talk about that, guys, if you did get a move down there, right? Like, and of course, maybe the market looks totally different if we get all the way down to 82, 85K. But let me just bring this up, right? If we did get bounces here, what is the anticipation off high time frame money flow, right? Now, every support level on the way down. Now, of course, there's going to be opportunities to take longs, like not even all the way down here, but like everywhere in between, right? Like 50-week moving average. You have the $96,000 PLC. You have the $92,000 value area low. You have the $85,000 confluent horizontal levels with the spider line. These are all areas where you can take longs inside of a bear market. However, you're not just expecting them to go to all-time highs. And I always bring this same example up from 2021. We had major support here where a lot of people were looking for 30K. I believe this was the low, right? 30K was, everyone was like, 30K is the bottom, 30K is the bottom, which is, it's a golden pocket 786. It isn't a place where you could put a low, a high, a higher low, and a higher high. So it's not that it's like impossible to do that. But what happens when you get down here? It's always level to level. Trading is a game of trapping, not a game of hunting, as I've always said. And it's like, could I look for longs down here? Sure. I mean, we're at support. I'm definitely not looking for shorts down there, right? Just as I'm not looking for shorts where I am right now. My short is from higher. I don't short as the price action's coming down. I get in as price action's coming up, and then we enjoy the move down. But, you could look for longs here, but when I look at the chart, what would my chart tell me here, right? Even if I go into bar replay mode, right? What does my chart tell me here? Well, it tells me we're at support. I mean, maybe we had some bullish confirmations. I honestly don't know, but we could take a look here, right? It's like you come down to your key support. All right, there's your 4-hour bull div. You get back above the 786, and it's like, oh, my God, hold it for a higher low. We're going to all-time highs, right? Well, when you look at your higher time frames, like, what does the money flow tell you on the higher time frames? 2-day money flow is in the red. 3-day money flow in the red. So what am I looking for here? I am always in this situation going to be looking for bounces. Sure, you can long it, right? Nice little move to the upside. I mean, hey, if you caught the bottom, it's like a 33% pop to the upside. Like I said, plenty of money to take longs in a bull market or a bear market. But what's the anticipation for that trade? High time frame money flow comes out. That means that the overall trend is very likely to continue to the downside, right? So you can look for the long up in the context of looking for lower highs and lower lows to come. So if we got to move down to 87K, and then what obviously happens, you come up, you can't get back above the 50-week moving average. Well, you came back down, came back up. Boom, can't get back above the 50-week moving average. And then eventually you dump down into the bear market. So, of course, there was longs to be had here. You probably would have been traded. You could probably trade this range, right? But what does this mean for a potential move down to 82K? Right. Well, if we got that move, sure, I would be looking for longs, but would that be a high probability area where I'd be looking for a higher low and a higher high? Well, even if the support says so, right? I'll pull up the volume profile, right? Let's just say, we have all that support down at 82. I'm just going to use this spider line because it's on the chart already. Like, could this be a place where I'm looking for longs? Sure. But if that money flow on the higher time frames, like the 3-day, the 2-day, the 4-day, is in the red, I'm going to be looking for lackluster retracements, lower highs, and lower lows, right? So I would not anticipate unless the chart looks totally different here. It's, if this money flow is coming out, which I would have to assume is going to be the case. Unless it looks different, then I'll look for something else. But if the money flow is coming out, right, I am not going to be just looking for all-time highs there. Definitely looking for longs. I wouldn't be looking for shorts down here, that's for sure. Right, my short is from up here. But you have to. This is where context comes in, right? It's like a lot of people are like, this is the support, right? But like, what's your money flow doing? Where are you in the cycle, right? I would just have to argue that you come down here. Sure, we can long, but lower highs, lower lows is going to be the higher probability there if high time frame money flow is coming out, which looks like it'll probably be the case. So again, hopefully we just that's why I say we really don't want to lose this, right? Because at that point it's very hard for me to just keep the doorway open at all time highs. We got to hit here and get back up, and then the doorway can stay open. So there you go. Shout out to Crypto Cookie said 30K was the bottom until it wasn't. Yeah, and again, money flow keeps you on the right side of that trade. Shout out to Marco, said sports betting it is. Oh, God. All right. Anyway, let's continue on. Shout out to Crypto Billy, said it's been a tough one, but it's all part of the game. I just wished it would pump as hard as it drops. Shout out to Crypto Billy. Come on, baby. Come on. Go. But shout out to Crypto Billy in the chat. What do I think about dominance at 61%? Let's take a quick look at that, guys. So Bitcoin dominance, here we are. Let me pull it up on the alt chart now. What was our bias here on Bitcoin dominance, right? And I hate that analysis was correct. I don't say this to brag or say, oh my God, look, we were right. But I honestly don't like that it was correct. But of course, daily money flow crosses into the green. What do we look for? We're looking for, and we got the bull div here on the daily with money flow coming up. That indicates that the trend based off the daily will very likely continue to the upside. Money flow is continuing up here on Friday, and the trend continues, right? Still inside this key level of resistance. This runs up to about 61.45%. This is your first opportunity to look for a rejection. But again, it's very hard for me to say that, if you're looking for alt season, right, at the end of the day, in my opinion, right, I do think we really need Bitcoin to put it in a new all-time high. I can't say it's guaranteed, but that's what I would like to see. New all-time highs on Bitcoin before the end of Q4 or the end of the year. And then hopefully the altcoins can follow. But you have to understand if, even though dominance is creeping up here, if Bitcoin keeps dumping, it's very likely not going to be good for the altcoins. But this is still key resistance number one. This will be the first area to be looking for some kind of a rejection. We'll have to see how this trend develops over time. But even if we get above here, you still have a last-ditch effort here to push up into your next major macro level of resistance, sitting between 62.64 and 64.24%. This is the last place to get the rejection for a lower high, right? Just based off the chart, right? This does have the opportunity to give you the rejection, the lower high, and then eventually a bigger breakdown on dominance, which could trigger alt season. But again, it's like we still need Bitcoin to make that new all-time high. So it's like even this is not guaranteed, right? At the end of the day, you could come up here and then just keep cooking to the upside, which is not going to be good. But these are, you still have the resistance that we're approaching right now. You also still have this bigger level of resistance. We have to wait for more information to kind of see what Bitcoin's doing up here. But trend continues up, right? If you look at your higher time frames, your 2-day money flow getting an aggressive push back to the upside here. Of course, this is still in the red. Taking a look at your 3-day money flow trying to come back up as well. This is kind of what has been making the chart look weak on the higher time frames for a potential lower high, lower low, or lower high, lower low. You now have the 2, 3, and the 4-day money flow. I mean, this I wouldn't even take this into account because this still could just roll over. But the 2 and the 3-day money flow are starting to come back to the upside here, guys, which is not really what you want to see for a big dump on dominance, right? Like the daily would have been fine to see the money flow continue up for a lower high and then get the dump. You need this money flow to come back into the red. You need the 3-day money flow to come back into the red. If we start seeing this stuff flip back into the green, I'm just going to be looking up towards these bigger levels of resistance. But again, at the end of the day, right, it's like you need this big bounce on Bitcoin, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens, right? I mean, you're in resistance. Maybe we chop around here. Get back above that 786. This is the next zone I'm looking at. Once you get above here, yikes. You're above the POC. You're above the 786. The lower high is potentially invalidated, and we can start to look a little bit higher. So we'll see what happens, guys. We'll see what happens. But again, I just always have to kind of bring up the fact that, like, if Bitcoin does something like this, like, altcoins are going to feel that, right? Altcoins are definitely going to feel this. Obviously, 3-5x what Bitcoin feels. So again, don't shoot the messenger, guys. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just Frankie Candles, guys. Just your friendly neighborhood Frankie Candles here, bringing you the information. I wish I could change it myself, but I have a boss, guys. I don't have freedom. I have a boss, and my boss is the chart. All right, let's see. Shout out to SJ. Said, everybody buy a money printer and inject that liquidity. It's so simple. Shout out to SJ. Money printers are about to be on the merch store, guys. Yeah, shout out to Soldier. Said we already had a shorter alt season. Yes, absolutely. Obviously, in Q4 of last year, we did have the rejection here, which did give us some kind of an alt season. You wouldn't think that would be the full alt season, right? But again, it's not over, guys, until that fat support breaks. But yeah, I mean, this was and we talk about this, right? Like, this was the only point in the market, right? This was right back here. This is the only point in the market that I would say we had any kind of retail interest. This is where I got all the text messages. Everybody at Thanksgiving and Christmas were like, hey, Frankie, let me talk to you. I know I don't ever keep in touch with you, but let me just ask you some questions about Bitcoin, man, which is kind of interesting because that's when we saw the altcoins pushing up. It was, it's the only time we saw euphoria. And if we see something similar to last cycle where you have like one top and then you get another technical numerical top to sweep the highs before coming down, however, all the retail sentiment was peaking here. All the social interest was peaking here. On that second rotation to the upside, it was a lower high, giving you those bearish divergences between social sentiment and the price action. So if it's a similar situation like that, it just much more, altcoins were obviously much more muted, probably because of the no money printing situation. It's like, was that the top, second top? You do have the weekly bearish divergences confirmed. You do technically have the sentiment shift here because, retail, only place we had retail interest was up here. It's a very similar situation. I'm not saying it has to play out exactly the same, but it's impossible to not see the similarities there. So, again, the hope here is fake it out before Q4, new all-time highs. Other than that, it's going to be very difficult for me to, make a bull case here for the altcoins, right? So we'll see what happens. But let's see. BTC better pump by Thanksgiving. I am not eating my words this time. Shout out to Nick Dunn. Oh, God. It would be an awkward Thanksgiving. As it always is for the crypto people. It's either really good, you either look like the genius, or everyone just tells you, I told you so. I told you that magic internet money was no good. All right, let's see. Shout out to BG, said send prices lower, all will be well. Oh, boy. Let's go. Shout out to BG. Okay, so we're going to take a look at some of the altcoins as well. J. Cole said, this cycle sucked. Thanks, Wells. What is this daily? Speaking of bounce, what is this daily candle? This daily candle is, it's looking pretty pukey. I'm not going to lie. I'm sorry, guys. I can't unsee myself as a floating head here. This is really brutal. I'm going to have to lower that camera. But anyway, let's go ahead. I'm going to jump into Ethereum. If you guys have been watching, right, we looked at Ethereum last week. Actually, pull it up over here. Taking a look at Ethereum. What did we look at last week, guys? We were coming down to this local key level of support on our value area low. And we even talk about, typically, when you have this golden pocket pulled from the low to the high, I do not like these levels tested more than once. Yeah, the low, the high, the potential higher low. I like to see this be one tap before seeing a higher high come in. But we didn't get that. We got the rejection from the range high. We got a second tap. You got 1, 2, back up, 3 taps. And then we came down here for a 4th test last week. Let me just hide this real quick. Bada boom, bada bing, bada boom, bada bing. Right. So Friday was sitting down here. We were coming for that last tap right on Thursday. get the bounce, right? If we lose this level, what was the next level we were looking down to? Well, there was one local level, which is the 786. Lose the golden pocket. Next place to look is the 786. Got some kind of turbulence there, but as we lose this 786, guys, if we cannot reclaim this, the next level to look down to for Ethereum is sitting right here. We've already almost come down to tap it. It is that infamous level that we've mentioned umpteen times, 35.30 at the value area high. Macro anchored VWAP pulled all the way from down here at $1,400, right? Massive level of support. If we lose that level, the next level underneath that is kind of the situation for Bitcoin, where you have the 50-week moving average. We also have a golden pocket sitting here. So if we do come down, we don't hold that range high. Just like on Bitcoin, this is the level to hold on Ethereum. If we get accepted back in here, next level to look at is going to be the golden pocket, 50-week moving average confluence, sitting between $3,200 and $3,100. So this is the level we looked at last week. We are now almost there to test it. In order to avoid coming down to test this, you have to reclaim the 786 and honestly get an aggressive push to the upside. Is money flow pointing towards a massive bounce here for massive new highs to come? Well, 16-hour money flow is coming into the red, 12-hour money flow in the red, daily money flow in the red, daily money flow in the red, 2-day money flow coming out, right? This is not what you want to see for a massive move up. I've said it 100 times, and I will say it one more time. Literally want the opposite, right? You need a big red wave looking across into the green. We do not have that. We literally have money flow coming out on the 2-day. So it does make me a little bit concerned of bounces, lower highs, and lower lows, right? Once we get down here, we can reassess the situation. But those are the next levels. 35.30, anchored VWAP, value area high. We lose that. I'm looking down to $3,200 to $3,100 on this next confluent area of support. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's like I just wish. Sometimes I get mad at the charts, guys. I'm like, why can't this money flow just be coming up, right? Because like that's what I like to call for. I like to call for higher prices. But I just can't do that, right? If I had the signs on the chart, I would call for it. So that's what I would look at on Ethereum. Let's take a quick look at Solana. Also covered on last week's live stream. We looked at a very, very specific level on the chart, which was that 786 Fibonacci retracement. We obviously have these two major zones of support, major zones of value, right? We have two value areas. We have the lower value area sitting right down here between about, pull this POC. I don't know what happened to that POC. But we have this lower value between $192 and $133, right? And then we have the upper value sitting right here between $192 and $248. And the question that we were posed with, right, was value area low and value area high are directly on top of each other. Typically, if we don't have that situation, right, we're just looking at this as a doorway to higher prices to fill the range in full. But when you have the range underneath you, you're kind of in a pickle there, right? Because like there's your doorway to higher prices and your doorway to lower prices. But when we looked at money flow, it was all trending out, right? So the higher probability there is for the drop to the downside. But what were we looking at specifically off the local levels of support? It's like if we get accepted into this lower profile, right? What is the key level of support we need to hold? Well, it was going to be, or it was, pull up the Fibonacci retracement. Where is it? Not that one. This one right here. We also had the anchored VWAP, which is not on the chart right now, but I'll just pull up that 786. Excuse me, you also had the anchored VWAP coming in here, and that was the key level. I honestly recommend you guys to go back to when we looked at Solana on the live stream last week, when we were talking about this level. It's like if you do get a drop back down into this range and you want a bigger push up, this is the level you must hold. If you lose this level, we do not have a lot of support down below, right? We had some dailies and weeklies down here. I actually have these marked out on the chart, right? We had two weeklies down here, but they were washed out on this wick, so they are no longer naked levels, which, could they hold up as tapped levels? Maybe, but I don't put as much weight on tapped levels as I do naked levels, meaning they're naked until they get touched, right? You have a fresh level here, it gets touched, no longer naked, no longer naked. So when you take the tapped levels off the chart, there's really nothing here until we get down into this POC or value area low. And this would be the anticipation, right? Deviation above the high, try to get out, can't get out, right? Once you lose that 786, and you can even see how technical this was. That 786 anchored VWAP, where was that anchored VWAP pulled from? I think it was from this low here. No. This low, right? So it's pulled all the way from the low here at about $95, right? Like, the reason we talk about that level is because this is not only a 786 that you have to hold to continue up, but also this anchored VWAP is a massively important level, right? We come up, We lose it, we reclaim it, new high. Bounce off it, new high, right? Once you get back down here, right, if you lose this, well, guess what? Now this might indicate a macro trend change, right? This holds us up for the continuation to the upside. Once you break down below it, you might be able to start a bigger trend to the downside. And you can see here, as soon as you lose that level, even on a hyper-local time frame, you lose that set. You lose the anchored VWAP, bearish retest, lose the 786, bearish retest, bearish retest, bearish retest, bearish retest, boom, fast move down. So when we bring up these key levels, guys, which obviously was between these two key zones, right? Once you lose that, right, well, we're expecting a bigger drop down. There's a reason for this. These are not just random levels on the chart. There is always a reason and logic behind these key levels. And as you can see, you lose that level, boom, you get the big drop down. And of course, I wish I can say, oh my God, we have a massive monthly naked point of control here for a massive move up, but it's just money flow is pointing in the wrong direction. Money flow is pointing down. Daily money flow is just crossing over into the red. So even just looking at the daily, I have to anticipate, especially now that we're back inside this profile, lackluster bounces, lower highs, and lower lows are going to be the higher probability here, targeting the low of the range. I'm not saying you have to come down here right now, but that would be the overall anticipation based off your money flow. Money flow is not an instant signal, right? Money flow crosses red. That's not necessarily where we're expecting the instant drop. Maybe you can get this... maybe you can get this like maybe a little daily bull div here to give you a bounce. But again, money flow indicates the overall trend. Lower highs and lower lows are going to be very important, or the much higher probability here, in my opinion, based off the volume profile, based off the Fibonacci retracements, based off the anchored VWAP, and based off of money flow. In order to call for a big move to the upside, you just have to ignore all the TA and just say, we'll just continue up. No problem. Don't worry about it. But again, I can't call for that because it's not on the charts. So what are the key levels to look at if we do get a retracement back up? Well, I'll hide this 786. And number one, right, anchored VWAP does come in here at about 178.48. It's going to be a big level to get above. And then just above that, the value area high. It's just back to that same old situation where you have your... macro value area above, right? So it's like, number one, you got to get above the anchored VWAP, but even if you got above there, like this is still the biggest level of resistance. And if we pull our Fibonacci retracements from the high to the low, you could see this 786 golden pocket is confluent with the value area high and the value area low. If we cannot reclaim this level, guys, I got to say, right, next targets to the downside, 142.11 all the way down to 133.72, where we also have a daily horizontal or a weekly horizontal sitting right here. So we'll see. I don't expect it to be a straight line. Hopefully it's not. But any bounces, right, like this is key resistance. Until we get back into this range and flip this to support, that would be the sign of strength to potentially move up to the point of control and get accepted into your upper range. But right now, very clearly, it looks a lot more likely that we are getting accepted into the lower profile, unfortunately, right? So there you go. But again, money flow keeping on the right side of that, keeping us on the right side of that last week, and also the key level just coming in absolutely clutch. Lose it, fast drop down. Not on a high, not just on high time frames, but the lower time frames as well. You lose this, big drop to the downside. When we talk about these key levels, we don't do it for no reason. So that's what I'd be looking at on Solana. Very nice to see it trading technically here, but again, money flow not very pretty to look at. When we look at our 4-hour time frame. You don't even have the 4-hour bull divs like Bitcoin has, which it's not printing yet on Bitcoin. Obviously, it's not there just yet. We need the 4-hour green dot to print in order to give us that 4-hour bull div. But we don't even have that setting up on Solana, right? Like you have no divergence down here. So any bounces, lackluster, lower highs, and lower lows until proven otherwise. I pray that these things just scam up and they're totally wrong. I pray. But that's not what the charts are pointing towards. All right, let's see. Solana's headed for $33. Bear market scenario, $33. Yeah, maybe come back down and retest this top of this bear market range. Definitely in the cards, I guess, for a bear market move. Right, that'll be about 80% of where we are right now. But we'll see. Right, very hard to. That's a very long-term move, right? There's a lot that can change in between, but definitely not impossible to go from 292. Well, what is that? Yeah, like 296 all the way down here. About 88%. That is something you could expect in the bear market for an altcoin. So we'll see. But we do have some other levels that we could look at, although not many. Maybe you have a little bit of consolidation right here you could look at. That brings you down to like $41, so it's still not much better. But and then you look at the volume profiles as well, right? We'll look at the visible range volume profile. Take a look at where that volume is. Yeah, shelf of volume really starts at about 27, like even $32, right? Like high volume, this is where price likes to stick to, right? And then you have pretty big fall off in volume and then another spike, right? Price likes to stick to the high volume nodes. Once you get stuck underneath that, right, could be fast drops down to the next significant area of value, which gets you pretty close to that $30 level. So not a bad place to be looking, in my opinion, if, of course, the bear market does come in. And, of course, you're going to have those local levels, $57, you have a little spike in volume, right? Down here, 74, you have a little spike. 99, you have a little spike. But, once you start losing this range, right, even if I just pull this up, pull this volume profile like this, right? It's like once you wind up losing these range lows, right? Fast move down, or I should say fast move down, fast move up, right? And this fast move up really started here, so you can see that is in line with your low volume gap, right? Essentially bringing you back down to like $26 to $30, right? So like there's your low volume gap. We start getting accepted into there. Well, what would we look for, right? Can't get back inside the, maybe you get the bounce, can't get back inside the range, lower high, get accepted in here, could be a fast drop down just like it was a fast move up. So there you go. Bullish case would be, of course, all the indicators flip around. TA doesn't matter in this case, hopefully. And then you could just get the reclaims and then massive move up. But again, that's not what the charts are pointing to. That's like my new catchphrase. That's not what the charts are pointing to. I always have to I know people don't want to hear prices going down, right? So there's always the case, so hey, we'll scam up. But, of course, that's not something that I make decisions off of, right? Let's see. Shout out to Alex said, Hopium Copium. I am done, man. This is not going anywhere but down. I am not losing more money anymore. Shout out to Alex. Yeah, I mean, listen. Yeah, would be in agreement with the charts. I thought Alex was talking about hopium copium as just like a term, but hopium copium is in the chat. Said, don't sell. Clearly a buy. How low can alts really go? Let's play. Shout out to hopium copium. Well, I'll tell you from experience. Alts can go down a lot. Hopefully they don't, right? But they can go down a lot. Let's see. ADA bear market low was like 20 cents last cycle, and currently price is around 55 cents. Excuse me. So let's go take a look at Cardano real quick here. So pretty simple analysis here on Cardano. It's although not necessarily very pretty, it is somewhat of a clean chart, right? Here's your lower value. Here is your upper value, right? From a very simple standpoint, unless you can get back above this value area low and preferably above this POC at about 73 cents, that would make me potentially look towards higher prices, maybe targeting about $1.02, and then we can start talking about maybe higher prices. But again, you got to get above these levels, right? Once we lose that 786, and we've talked about this with that liquidation wick, even before we got this liquidation wick, we were looking at that 786 as the next key level of support. If we couldn't hold this, where were we looking for price to go? And it's almost playing exactly to what we were expecting, right? Obviously, we already said lose the 786, go to the value area high, and not that I expected this to happen all in one wick, but pretending this wick is not here, if we lost this 786, we were looking eventually to come test the value area high, which is where we are now, filling this wick with candles. So again, right, like the thought is lose this value area high. If that doesn't hold POC, if that doesn't hold value area low, we saw that all manifest in one wick. But now you can see we have now lost that 786, and where is price, right? It's just that it's that same plan, value area high, POC, value area low. Where are we sitting? Right at the value area high. All right, so you could argue even if you didn't get this liquidation wick, this still would have been the key level of support to hold in order to get a bigger move up. And if we couldn't hold it, where would we look for price to go? Value area high, right? These boxes have been on this chart forever, right? Key support, lose this, that's your next key level. And we are now tapping that as we speak, sitting at about 54 cents. This is huge, guys. If we cannot hold this, right, what am I going to be anticipating? Just like we looked at recently, again, negating the wick, it's like, hey, if we're going to fill this wick, it would make a lot of sense to go to the value area high. If we, very simply, and this box is drawn from the value area high to just these wick lows here at about 50 cents. If we can't get, and maybe we can get a bounce here, but again, looking at money flow's in the red on the daily. 2-day money flow is now crossing into the red, although it has been very choppy lately. If we cannot get money flow to shape up here, any bounces can potentially be looked at as lower highs and lower lows. Once we lose this 54 to 50 cent level, the next big level of support underneath us, just like with the wick, is going to be the POC. If we can't hold that, the next stop is going to be that value area low at 28 cents. So these are the next big levels of support. I'll even mark these off with blue boxes. POC underneath us sitting at about 39 cents. Underneath that, you have your value area low sitting at 29 cents, right? These are the big levels. Lose this, I'm not feeling too good about getting another big move up, right? I would feel much more inclined to be looking, especially if money flow is agreeing, right? Get stuck in here, POC. Sure, you can get bounces, could be ugly, could be confusing, but eventually you lose that POC, value area low would be next for a fulfill the range. You do not want to get accepted back below 50 cents. So you're hoping for a massive bounce here. Are there signs for a massive bounce? You don't have the 4-hour bull div. You have a little green dot printing here, but you don't have the bull div, right? So there's no real signal for a massive reversal. And money flow is coming out, right? So, like, it would still be lackluster bounce until proven otherwise. It really wouldn't be until we get back above this POC zone at about 73 to 74 cents, 72 to 74 cents, where I'd feel much more better expecting money flow to fake out and come up to the upside. Until then, I have to be very cautious of these continuations down. But you are at support. Is this a place where I would look to short? Absolutely not. There's no world that exists where I'm looking to short after a massive drop down like this, right? We've already gone from the high to the POC, lost the POC to the low, right? The shorts were to be had up here at the value area highs. It's not a place where I would look to short. I would need some kind of a retracement to catch a short and then ride it back down. So hopefully we can bounce. We're at support. We got the 4-hour green dot, but doesn't look like, in my opinion, that this would be like the best low ever. And it kind of stinks with where it's happening because, if we don't hold this and we get stuck in here, it's just big targets to the downside or low targets to the downside. The only other level I could bring up here, guys, to be honest, like other than the volume profiles, like the only other thing I can pull here is the golden pocket 786. 786 is confluent with your POC. And then your golden pocket is still pretty well below this value area high. So that sits at about 45 cents. Again, is this a place where I would expect a massive higher low and a massive bounce? Depending on what money flow looks like, maybe. But again, you're back inside your profile. So you got to fight above that value area high. It's just, you got a lot of work to do above you. So I'm more inclined to look towards that POC, but you do have the golden pocket sitting here at 45 cents. So you can keep that on the chart as well. But it's there, guys. She's on the edge. She's on the edge. Like, even if we get another dip down, you got to get out of here very quickly. And more than that, you got to get back up, flip that POC, and like start scamming up very aggressively. And I know it sounds like a lot of doom and gloom here, guys. But we haven't broken the level just yet. Just keep that in mind. Shout out to Thomas J. He said, I need to know how low XRP can go. Well, we could jump into XRP. We already did ETH. We did Solana, Cardano. We'll jump into XRP here real quick as well. Of course, what do we look at here? Recently on XRP, we had the key level of resistance here between about 270 and 283. This is the big level to get above. Flip to support in order. This is the level that, I say, I will feel much better if we can get up and flip this to support. Then we can start looking a little bit higher. But until then, this is massive resistance, even giving the local Fibonacci retracement here on the live stream. Looking at money flow, understanding the trend would very likely continue to the downside, giving this golden pocket 786 to look for the lower high. What happens? Lower high, right where you would expect it. You get the lower low, accept it into your profile. POC is next. Can't hold the POC. Where is the next level for XRP? Well, very simply put, learn the volume profiles, guys. These things will change your life. Next stop is the value area low. This is where we're sitting right now. Is this a place where I would look for a short? Never in a million years, right? The shorts are to be had on the pushes up, on the pushes up, on the pushes up. Never as you get the move to the downside. So these are the key levels, right? This is your golden pocket, 786 retracement. If we lose the golden pocket, where were we looking for XRP to go? Well, we were looking down to the 786 value area low. Here we are, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if you get some kind of turbulence here. But again, when we look at our money flow, is this a sign of a massive bottom being put in? What do I like to see for massive lows? Well, we have some of it, right? You have a potential bullish divergence, but what else do I need to see? A big red wave, about to cross into the green. That indicates not only that you have the reversal signal, but also that your general trend will continue to the upside. That's why you need the money flow coming up. We have literally the opposite happening here, guys. Money flow is just crossed over into the red. So if we get this 4-hour bull div, I would say, hey, and we can get rid of this golden pocket now because it has now been ran through. Whoops, I'll just take the golden pocket off separately here. Bada boom, bada bing, right? So not a place I would look for a short, but if we do get a bounce, right, I would have to look at it as lackluster bounce, lower highs, and lower lows. I'll cover some of the lower targets in just a second, but if we just cover the local resistance here real quick, and no confluence on that, no real confluence on that POC. Let me pull an anchored VWAP here and just try to snipe some of this resistance that we have. So you have the anchored VWAP of the local high here coming down. Yeah, I'm probably just going to stick to the volume profiles here, to be quite honest. Like even here, you don't have any local bull divs, right? You have the 4-hour bull div, which is not printing yet, right? This could get invalidated. We push down again, this wave is going to break that low, and there's no 4-hour bull div. This is not going to be printing until we get the green dot, right? If we don't get the green dot and we push back down and this low breaks this low, right now it's a higher low. So if you do print that green dot, it's like, okay, cool. You have the 4-hour bull div. But if we push down again and this low breaks this low, there's no more bullish divergence. And we don't even really have confluence, right? Because if you come on down to the lower time frames, there's no 45-minute bull div, there's no 30-minute bull div. I mean, you don't even have a 15-minute bull div. So there's just not a lot of, interesting stuff down here, in my opinion. So I would just, this is not a thing that I would even look for a long on, even if it was just a lackluster retracement. But if we do get a bounce off support, maybe that 4-hour green dot prints. Maybe your 15-minute money flow can cross into the green. That's what I would look for some kind of a local move up, is the 4-hour green dot and the 15-minute money flow crossover into the green, just like on Bitcoin. But again, my bias here would have to be lackluster retracement, lower highs and lower lows. And just naturally, what I would be looking at is we could pull from here to here. Yeah, it's like the support. I mean, the confluence is not super close. But if I were to just mark this out, maybe I could pull it from this lower high. It's like even that's not super confluent. So, yeah, I mean, even in a more bullish case, right, like you get accepted back into the range, right, you get the bounce. Even if you fill this entire profile, right, like now you just got this value area high, full Fibonacci retracement to push into, right? Could be an area. Get a bounce, flip the POC, right? And then you can look for the rejection there. But even that, like, I don't know if you're going to get a push that high. So the only other thing I can look at is like your local retracements, which would have to be pulled from like right here. So POC zone and your value area high zone are going to be the biggest levels of resistance to look for there for a potential lower high, lower low, or a lower high and a lower low. And then if we get up there, money flow scams out, we could look higher. But even then, right, you could see like when we zoom out, right, like we're not even fighting this anymore. Now you're just stuck back below this range. Now, if we break down below, what is the next big level to look at? Well, in my opinion, guys, we'll just bring up that macro profile once again. Golden pocket, POC confluence, get accepted back into the range. Of course, we got the big liquidation wick, but if you just look at where the candle settled, lose this, POC is next. If you can't hold this POC, where are we looking next? Value area low at 203. We actually said this last week. Will we see a $2.03 XRP soon? Volume profiles would say so. Money flow is even pointing in that direction. So we'll see. If we can't hold those local levels that we just brought up, the next big level I'd be looking down is at about, call it 205, right? At that value area low 786, similar to what we just looked at on the local time frames. Lose the golden pocket, you're going to look to go to the 786. Lose the POC, you're going to look to go to the value area low, and both those levels are sitting right there in confluence. So we'll revisit that if we get the drop down. Maybe here is where we get the bigger bull divs with money flow coming up for a massive bounce up. But until then, I would be very, 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 very cautious. So there you go. Value area low at 205. POC, we're losing it right now at 240. And then, of course, the bigger sign of strength, if we get some kind of scam up, which I don't expect overnight, would be to get back above this massive level of resistance. We are now, like, completely rejecting this massive level of resistance, guys. Like, we tried to come up and test this. You had a chance to get back in, flip it to support, and push back up to the high. But at this point, right, money flow helped you understand you had all this resistance for a continuation down. That money flow continues out. We're looking down here. So that's what I would look at on XRP. Let me come on into the chart and take a sip of that Aztecian Cactus Black Coffee, guys. Shout out to Thomas, said, thank you so much. I sold at 255 to salvage and had a feeling of a major drop, but thank you. Big drop down, but thank you so much. Shout out to Thomas. No problemo, brother. We're just here bringing the information. Whether bullish, bearish, people either love me or they hate me. But you don't really love or hate me. You really just love or hate the charts. All right, let's see. Just make sure I didn't miss anything here. We need to have a bit of hope, right? And that's there's always going to be some kind of hope for a fake out. What do you think an event like Ripple Swift and Clarity Act could do to money flow and volume? Shout out to EPG. For me personally, I'm just not a news guy. I've never regretted not really looking back on my trading career, right? Like if I just had not known, obviously I keep up with the news, but like if I looking back, I would be in the same situation right now if I had never looked at the news. So it's just not something I pay attention to, right? And I explain exactly why that is. All major tops on Bitcoin. I'm going to cover this for 2 seconds. I used to have it all marked out. I think I still might have some of them marked out. Right? Almost every single major top was off of some bullish news, right? Now, I'm not saying there's never a time where bullish news gives you a push up, but the key there is the bullish news has to, in my opinion, be completely unexpected. The only time where you're going to see a bullish news event and then just see price push to the upside is when that bullish news, is a black swan event, right? Not a white swan event, a black swan event. A white swan is just a swan. The whole point of a black swan is that it's unexpected, right? You don't expect a black swan, you expect a white swan. So there are bullish black swans, right? So unless the news is a bullish black swan, meaning no one could predict it, and randomly, like if Trump just tweeted right now, or I don't know, if Powell just came out and was like, oh, guys, we're just going to start printing money today, and no one was expecting that, that is a bullish black swan event. That is where you could expect the news to play out. More often than not. Of course, it's never going to be 100%, but more often than not, guys, it's usually, if the news is expected, it's a buy the rumor, sell the news event, right? Here, you have the CME Bitcoin futures announcement. We rally into it. The launch is literally the top. Bullish news. Oh my God, CME futures. This is legit. Bitcoin's more bullish, fundamentally bullish than ever. This is mass adoption. This is mass adoption. $500 billion. Nope. Bear market. Even this local top here. This wasn't like super huge news, but it's like Facebook unveils the Libra stablecoin. It's like, oh my God, this is Facebook involved in crypto. Oh my God, right? Local top, massive drop to the downside. Fast forward to 2021. Coinbase IPO announcement was literally the top. Literally the top. Boom. Right? Next top comes in. You have the El Salvador. I'll never forget this. El Salvador news, right? And then you have the ProShares futures ETF launch. Literally the top, right? Both those were very close to the top. So I don't really pay attention. Like I'm never looking at a news event and I'm like, I'm going to wait for this to happen and then it will be bullish, right? Because if the news is expected, it's already priced into the market, right? So that's why I don't say like, I don't know. If we had something that we were expecting, that's why rate cuts, right? Like, oh, it's expected they're going to cut 0.25 basis points, right? Do I think that when he announces the 0.25 basis points, it's going to pump? No. If you want the pump on that news, you would need something unexpected, like we're going to cut 50 basis points or, a full point, whatever it is. So when it's anticipated, I more often than not look at it as a sell the news event, right? So just by the thought of that is like, this is a known event. These are known things that are coming. It's expected or very likely to be priced into the market before it actually happens. So that's my 2 cents there. Again, sure, could that be wrong? Could it just pump it? Sure. But it's just, based off history, right? Or what I've seen over the years that I've been looking at these charts, almost a decade. It's very rarely the case. All right, let's see. If you still, shout out to Cryptic Crabman, says, if you still have a bunch of alts, get one of those Samsung frames and link your ledger to it. Just stare at the beauty. Shout out to Cryptic Crabman. 2025 alt season soon. Biggest meme in existence. Honestly, I think it's been the biggest meme of the entire cycle, right? It's most famously in February. Everybody just looked for alt season to happen. It's not the case, right? And again, like, how would you have known that wasn't going to be the case? It would just be to look at the chart, right? It's like, what were we looking at in February? And I don't say this to be like, look, we were right, everyone else was wrong. There's times where I'm wrong, right? Of course. And there will be times where I'm wrong again. As a matter of fact, guys, I'm praying that the TA is wrong now. I'm hoping that the next time we're wrong is like right now. Not for dominance, but for the altcoins and Bitcoin. But it's like back in February, right? Like we get the push to the upside. I don't know why we would look for alt season here, right? Like this is not a place where I would personally be looking for alt season based off the chart. Why? I have money flow in the green on the daily. I'm reclaiming value area low. At that point, just like on a regular price chart, I'm expecting to visit the point of control. Is that good for alt season on dominance? Probably not, right? So I don't know. Like it's always been like, and even here, right? Like as we see the 3-day money flow attempting to come to the red, like this is your best. This was the best shot, and I guess still technically is. You haven't come back into the green here just yet, but this is like the best shot that you have. But this is why when I talk about alt season, it's never like alt season's coming, guys. Just keep holding on, right? Because it's like we understand how these charts move. We understand we understand that, like, just because we've seen certain things happen in the past does not mean they have to happen exactly how they have. And, you know, I could still argue here that the 2-day money flow is in the red. I could still argue that the 4-day money flow is trending out. I could still argue that the 3-day money flow is in the red. But as we see this, right, it's starting to come back up. This is not what you want to see. Right? Like, I would love to just, like, keep the hopium alive and be like, like, it looks super, super bearish. I would still say, again, just even if you're not looking at money flow, right, like, your opportunity to put in lower highs and lower lows is still here, right? Like, you still have these key levels of resistance. They are not broken through just yet. But there's no guarantee that you get that, right? And it's like, I think people have this preconceived notion that, like, we haven't had a parabolic alt season. It has to happen. It happens every cycle. It has to happen. But in my opinion, they need to print money. We need liquidity, right? We need the money printing to see this happen. And with it being so hard to predict exactly when that's going to happen, it's like very difficult for me to call. Like if we get back up here and we start breaking these levels and all that high time frame money flow is coming back into the green, guys, like that is just simply not going to look good for alt season, right? That's why I just always base it off the charts, right? It's like, you know, you have an opportunity to reject here, and maybe it doesn't look super high probability at this first level because of money flow on the daily and your 2-day money flow coming back up. But it's just like, I don't know. It's, you know, people just love to call for alt season. And the real reason behind that, guys, is because it gets a lot of clicks, right? Like this brings in the YouTube views. It brings in the YouTube money. So people are, I say this all the time. There is a very big incentive to just tell people it's going up, right? This is good for YouTube views. It's good for attention. It's good for social media, whether it's right or wrong. And to be honest, I think most people actually don't even care if you're wrong if you're just telling them it's going to go up. But that's just not how I run things over here, right? Like, I am not going to tell the Mafia, don't worry, guys, it's going up, no big deal, don't worry about it, if I think that the charts look bearish, right? I don't care about the YouTube views. I care to some degree, right? But, like, I'm never just going to, like, get the Mafia wrecked just for some YouTube views to tell people it's still going up. The chart does not care about your feelings. Let's see. I'm taking my crypto pills and shutting up. Shout out to Soul Shot Silver. Did I call you Satoshi Silver before? That's a crazy just misread. I don't even know how you get Satoshi out of Soul Shot. But anyway. Shout out to Ken, said, just be patient. Alt season is coming. And listen, as long as you can get the push up here on Bitcoin, hold on top of that 50 week. It's not over till the fat lady sings. It's not over till the fat support breaks. It's not over till Q4 ends. But I do just think that just from a general stance, right, it's very dangerous to just expect it to come, right? Of course, you can have legit reasons to expect it to come. But yeah, I mean, I would still want to see Bitcoin put in a new all-time high. So until I feel like that is a high probability, I'm gonna just kind of wait and see, right? I can't say alt season's guaranteed. Like, what happens if the top is in, right? And we come down, right? Like, is alt season going to happen in that case? I would say it's a very low probability. So just hoping for alt season to come and Bitcoin goes into a bear market, like, you're going to be holding for a long time and very likely round-tripping your bags. And I can't tell you when to buy or sell, and I hope alt season comes. And, you know, again, like I said, I have been wrong in the past, and I will be wrong again. I am praying that the time of being wrong is coming up soon. I hope I come up here, the thumbnail will say, I was wrong, and I will come up here and celebrate the fact that I was wrong, because the spot bags will be pumping, baby. But anyway, Shout out to Dogecoin Currency says Doge, Elon hitting that Doge one mission. Shout out to Dogecoin. I'm not 100% sure exactly what you mean like that. Just lie to us, Frankie. Tell us we're rich. Don't worry, guys. It's coming. All season's coming. Don't worry. Don't worry. And again, I'm not saying all season won't come either, right? Like I'm not sitting up here saying like if you're expecting all season, you're an idiot and it's never going to happen. But just if you ask me to support exactly like if all season's going to happen like this week or next week or this month, it's just very hard for me to make an argument for that, right? Like someone could say like, give me the bullish case. I'll come up with an argument for the bullish case. But if you ask me to look at the bearish case next, that bearish argument is going to have a lot more evidence than the bullish case. Doesn't mean the bullish case is impossible, right? So I'm not saying alt season cannot happen, right? Again, looking at the money flow, right? Like your 2-day and your 3-day are still in the red, and even your 4-day, right? Like still generally trending out here. VWAP coming to the downside. If we get that red dot, money flow bleeds out. Like you still have some kind of hope there. But again, you want to see Bitcoin pumping as well, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens. Trust me, I hold a lot of alts as well. Most of my alts are still in the green because I hold the higher cap stuff. But, you know, I still have some other smaller bags of some lower cap stuff that I would still like to see go up, guys. So, you know, I'm just as inclined to hope for higher prices than anybody else. It's just hard for me to make, like, a clear argument, especially alt season, right? Like, someone was just saying it's, like, the biggest meme ever. Alt season's coming, right? That's why I don't really harp on this too much because it's, like, it's just very difficult to predict this kind of stuff. We can look at dominance, look at money flow, try to predict the higher probability outcome. But I would even say, like, with the daily money flow right now, it's like unless you just start seeing it, we'll watch this, right? If we get an aggressive rejection from here and we start cracking down, money flow cracks back into the red on the daily, 2- and 3-day come back out as well. Well, then it looks right on track. But if we start cooking up here, all this money flow starts flipping green, starts to get a little suspicious. So we're praying. We're praying for alt season, guys. We're praying. But I will not be the person to tell you, like, just hold on, guys. It's guaranteed. I just won't be that guy. I think there's enough of that out there anyway. Shout out to Perry said, Frankie, do you smoke? I do not smoke. Smoking is bad for your health. Shout out to Perry. I'm just kidding. Do what you want, guys. We're all adults. I'm not here to judge anybody. I'll tell you what I'd be smoking. I'd be smoking those shorts, baby. I've been smoking those shorts. Shout out to Joe, said, before watching Frankie, I was responsible for moving the market. I would buy, market would go down. I would sell, market would go up. Shout out to Joe. Well, I'm glad we were able to change that for you, brother. Shout out to Rudy. I love you back, brother. I love you back. He says, yo, Frankie, I love you, bro. I love you back, my friend. Let's see. Ken says, buy with as much dry powder as you can. Shout out to Ken. That was that was said by Ken, not Frankie Candles. If anybody knows the UFC clip that I just referenced, shout out to Joe Rogan. He said some wild stuff, and the other announcer was like, that was said by Joe Rogan. Just trying to avoid getting canceled. All right, so we took a look at XRP. We took a look at Solana, Ethereum, Cardano. A bunch of people asked to see Tau. Let's take a look here. So if I remember correctly, yeah. So, all right. Can't make it up, guys. Can't make it up. When was this? Yeah, all right. So on Tau, what was the last thing we were looking at, right? You held the 786 here. You have your low, your high. 786 holds for a potential higher, holds for a potential higher low before seeing a higher high. We have now gotten that. What was the next big key level of resistance to look at on Tau? Well, it was sitting up here on our golden pocket POC. That is exactly where we're rejecting from right now. We're starting to lose this range. I'm going to take this off the chart because we've already bounced there. No need to crowd it up. Again, guys, I'm just inclined here to look at the money flow. Looks a bit better than Bitcoin, if I'm being honest. Money flow continuing out on the 4-hour, 3-hour, 2-hour coming out, right? So, like, this is your key level to hold. 474.65. You already got the higher low for the higher high. You're rejecting here. This is your key level. 473.97. If you can reclaim this, maybe you could push back up through this profile. But again, look at your money flow here, guys. It just points more towards lower highs and lower lows. Next key level of support down below is going to be 415.75. You're kind of just bing-bonging around between these two profiles. Here's your lower value. Here's your upper value. You've already come in for a rejection off your golden pocket, almost the POC. So, you could even come down here, bounce back to the value area low, get back in, lose it again. You're just kind of bing-bonging around here. You need the reclaim and hold of this value area low in order to look for that POC, flip the POC, go to the value area high. Money flow coming out on the medium time frame, so I would not be surprised if you can continue down here a little bit. 416.20 is the next big key level of support. Lose that, you could be looking down towards your point of control back down here at about 348.55. Daily money flow actually not looking too bad here. Daily money flow coming into the green, right? And this is just proof. I'm not just saying it's bearish to say it's bearish, right? Like this money flow is in the green. Does give you an opportunity to see the longer-term trend continue up, right? Maybe you hold the value area high again, and you can continue your overall trend to the upside. But again, like this daily money flow is very likely to follow what these lower time frames are doing, right? You already have the 8-hour coming out. You already have the 6-hour coming out. You already have the 4-hour coming out. 12 and 16-hour are starting to trend down as well. So, I mean, if you could keep this money flow in the green on the daily, you could look, right? I would expect. Let me just pull this fib real quick. You already bounced off that golden pocket, so I'm not going to highlight that as a key level. But this value area high, as I said, was your key level, but it's also confluent with your 786 Fibonacci retracement. So if you're looking for this daily money flow to stay in the green for a higher time frame, higher low, and then another higher high, potentially into that POC, this would be the level to hold. Once you break back down below it, you once again are at risk of coming back down towards your point of control at 347.86. So there you go. That is what I'd be looking at on Tau. 4-hour red dot on dominance. Finally, let's take a look here. Yeah. I mean, you got the 4-hour red dot. Not necessarily a big confirmation that I would look at on dominance, right? It's only going to really indicate the local moves. I pay attention to dominance on the higher time frames, which money flow is trending up. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But you do have that 4-hour red dot. But, it's definitely possible to do something like that, right? Shout out to Perry, said, Frankie, can money flow be wrong? Now sometimes I think that I hate this indicator. Shout out to Perry. Yeah, at the end of the day, right, money flow can be wrong, right? It's definitely right way more than it is wrong. And I could try to point you to a situation where we have seen money flow fake out in a really big way. And it always brings me back to that same place on the chart, which is all the way back down here. ETF approval. Oh, my God, bullish news. We're going to pump, right? No, we're going to dump it 20%, and then we're going to pump, right? Again, avoiding the buy the news, get wrecked situation, right? But this was we actually were calling for a fake out on money flow here. Very rare case where I can call for a high probability of a fake out on money flow. Very rare. But with where we were in the cycle, with where we had come down and tested, it looked, based off the other time frames as well, this looked like a very high probability fake out. So here's a really good situation or a good example of when money flow completely fakes out, right? It's like, oh my God, it's crossing into the red, lower highs, lower lows. And again, more often than not, I'm not calling for a fake out. In this specific situation, we were. But this is like one of the only times I've ever called for a confident fake out on money flow. But again, we're in a different part of the cycle at this point, right? This is way earlier in the cycle, plenty of room to the upside. We're just not in that scenario where I can call for a confident fake out. Doesn't mean it won't fake out, but here's a perfect example. You fake out into the red, another massive green money flow wave to send it into new all-time highs. So there we go. So, maybe we see something similar happen here, right? There, daily money flow back in the red now at this point. Money flows in the red, maybe. And this has just been choppy AF recently, right? So it wouldn't really be the same thing. But maybe 4-hour money flow could be the same thing. Not impossible to see that just fake out and come into a massive green wave. But again, it's like you're just fighting the indicator. Right? Is it possible? Yes. Is it the lower probability situation? Also yes, right? So there you go. But short answer, yes, of course. Any kind of indicator can totally fake out. Let's see. What does the money flow look like compared to the summer crash? Comparing it, I assume you mean this summer crash? Depends on which one you're talking about. I assume you mean this one. Well, it looks... unfortunately, very similar. If you're talking about this one from all-time highs, which, by the way, we did short from the top, essentially, and we enjoyed that all the way down. Again, based off money flow. Well, it wasn't the only thing we were looking at, but it did help us hold that short for a little bit lower. However, what did money flow look like on the 4-hour time frame? Well, money flow had crossed over into the red after an initial drop to the downside, and then we found some support with some 4-hour bullish divergences. Higher lows, lower lows. Sure, we could look for a bounce. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, I believe we did long this. Close the trade at our key 786 Fibonacci retracement, which you can see right here. Very high probability, lower high, because your money flow is coming out. You're looking for lackluster retracements, lower highs and lower lows. Where's that lower high likely to come in at? Well, it could come in on any of these Fibonacci retracements. This is the one that we were looking at based off our confluences. Lower high, lower low. We hold that short for lower prices, right? But that bull div on the 4-hour did give you a bounce to the upside, right? But money flow still gave you the lower high and the lower low. Very similar to what we have here if we get the 4-hour bull div. You have the lower lows, you have the higher lows. Green dot looks like it wants to print. So if we did get a bounce, I would still be inclined. Lower highs, lower lows, right? It's like literally almost the exact same situation. Not exactly, but very similar, right? It's never going to match exactly, right? But money flow crosses red, bull div, bounce, lower high, lower low, right? It's going to be like that more often than not, right? Like even here, you get the money flow to cross over into the red, you come down, you get a little 4-hour bull div, lower lows, higher lows, bounce, money flow is still coming out, lower high and lower low is higher probability. We also decided to hold this short a little bit longer for more downside based off the 4-hour money flow, and it decides to pay us out, right? And then what do you have here? You have a pretty significant money flow wave in the red, and now you have another 4-hour bullish divergence here. But what else do you have? Money flow starts to trend back up. You've already come into the red wave for that trend to the downside. It's not a fresh crossover down here, right? You already have that developed red wave. Then you get the bull div, you push up, money flow crosses green, and of course, this is where we were looking for the flip of $112,000 for the bigger continuation up towards all-time highs, which we were calling for, right? But there was something on the chart to call for that. In this case, you were coming down to support with your 4-hour bullish divergences, but your money flow is coming out. You don't have a red wave about to cross into the green. So maybe we get this set up a little bit better down here, and then maybe your money flow comes into the red. You hit your support, right? And then, I don't know, maybe we do another 4-hour bullish divergence, and then money flow comes up, and then we can look for a bigger continuation up. But we just don't have that here, right? It's a 4-hour bull div, but money flow is freshly crossing over into the red. It's just not typically something we look at for a massive bounce. And those are multiple examples of the exact same situation within very similar price action. So again, that's why I say if you're hoping for just some kind of massive rip up here to new all-time highs, it's kind of just like you're hoping for everything to fake out. So there you go. But that money flow on the second bull div wasn't going up yet. Yes. You're talking about right here, right? So let me come back into bar replay mode. All right, so yes, when you're looking at this bull div printing, money flow is not coming up right away. But here's the difference. You have gotten, right, the whole thing is the money flow crossover and makes you anticipate a trend continuation, right? So you got the 4-hour money flow crossover. You get the trend to continue down, which allows your money flow wave to develop some kind of a wave, right? If you're not going to put in some kind of big wave like this, you're just hoping for a fake out, right? Which is not what I like to look for. So you have the money flow crossover. And of course, right down here, money flow is not instantly crossing back up. But what the reason this looks a lot better is because you're not just starting the money flow crossover, right? It's not a fresh money flow crossover, because when you have a fresh money flow crossover, the typical anticipation is to get the continuation down. It's like, hey, money flow crossed red anytime, right? Let me turn off these spider lines really quickly. Let me drop some sauce here, right? When you get a money flow crossover, I'll even come back deeper into bar replay mode here, right? When I get a fresh money flow crossover, the anticipation here is once that money flow crosses red, I'm not necessarily anticipating just straight down, right? But I am anticipating a continuation of a downtrend, right? And when that continuation happens, you get to develop a little bit of a red wave. I like to see money flow spend some time in the red and then some time in the green, right? Some time in the red and then some time in the green, some time in the red, some time in the green, some time in the red. So if I had 4-hour bull divs right here, right, where that money flow is just crossing over, I'm looking for a lackluster bounce and a continuation down, and in anticipation of that bigger red money flow wave. And if that bull div starts to form down here, right, even if money flow is not crossing up, right, if I at least have some kind of a deep money flow wave, I could say to myself, well, hey, there's probably a higher probability that a bull div with a big red money flow wave, there's a better chance that this bull div is going to give you a bounce, and then it would make sense for your money flow to come back up and then rotate into the green for a trend back to the upside, right? So it doesn't have to be curving up as the bull div is printing, right? But the idea here is I'm going to always be looking for a higher probability long if I have a red money flow wave, right, with bull divs. I already spent some time in the red. I've gotten the trend down. Now I'm at key support with bullish divergences. If that bull div plays out, it would make sense for this money flow to come up for another rotation into the green. But if I see that bull div, forming like right here, right, why would I be looking for that to be a huge move, right? Because if money flow is just crossing over into the red, sure, the bull div can give me a move up, but the overall anticipation is a continuation of the downtrend to get that bigger wave. Does that make sense? Right, so typically what I like to see on 4-hour bull divs to mark off a significant bottom is going to be a bullish divergence with at least, I mean, money flow coming up would be nice, but at least some kind of significant money flow wave, right? It doesn't have to be about to cross over as you're putting in the div. As a matter of fact, more often than not, you'll get the div, right? Money flow will eventually bottom out, and then you cross into the green, right? But you've already had a significant push into the red here. Right, you're not looking to long for a massive trend up just as that money flow, is crossing out. Right, this is not what I would typically do. So it doesn't, even though it's technically coming out here, you've already got that significant money flow wave. It's not like you're shorting right on a fresh money flow crossover into the red. Does that make sense? I think that should be pretty clear, right? Like that is a totally different situation. That's more like something like this, right? 4-hour bull div, money flow is in the red. It doesn't have to be shooting up right as that bull div confirms. But if you have a significant money flow wave like this, and then that bull div prints, right? Well, now I'm saying, well, hey, now we spent some time in the red. We're at key support. We have bullish divergences. Maybe we can see this money flow start trending back to the upside, right? And then you would look for the continuation up. Does that make sense? It's almost the same thing down here, right? As we put in this bullish divergence on the daily, did we have our money flow curving up at the exact same time? No, right? If you look at the money flow here, money flow, well, technically it was. You still have money flow divergence, right? So lower lows, higher lows, right? And your money flow is also technically making higher lows. So this is actually really nice, right? Because you have bull divs on the money flow and your momentum waves. But at the end of the day, right, it's not aggressively curving up. You just have money flow in the red. But look at all this time you've already spent in the red. You come down to a massive key level of support, especially something like a 50-week moving average, right? Money flow has already given you a significant red wave. This is a bullish divergence that I would 100% feel much more comfortable longing than when you're just getting that first crossover. Right? You're not longing right as the crossover is happening. You're longing after you've already seen that money flow crossover play out with a nice trend to the downside. Now you have bullish divergences. Now, even if this money flow was not making a higher low, let's just say it was just smoothly coming out like this, right? Well, we've already had a good amount of time in the red here for that trend to continue out. And if you have those confirmations, the idea here is like, well, hey, if this daily bull div starts playing out and we start pushing up here, well, this money flow is very likely going to start, you're already in the red for quite some time. It's not often that a daily money flow wave is going to stay in the red for like 6 months, right? So you could see, right? I mean, sometimes it's longer, sometimes it's shorter, but you can see we spent a significant amount of time in the red here. Daily bull div, money flow, pretty deep in the red. And you start to think to yourself, maybe this is going to be the bottom of the money flow, right? And then that bull div prints, pushes you up. Money flow starts to trend back to the upside. And like even here, you're not always going to be able to snipe the low. But even here, like you start pushing up, now your money flow is trending to the upside, right? Trending up. There's your bull div. There's your money flow crossing up. At this point, that looks like a good bottom to me. This is part of the reason why we were looking for new all-time highs. We could flip inside this volume profile. I'm looking for new all-time highs. Plenty of time in the cycle. You have the bull divs. Money flow starts coming up. And then the further you go, right, the more confident it becomes. So you don't need money flow to be like shooting up as you get that bull div, right? But what you do not want is a bull div forming right. You don't just want to like, I'm never going to be longing on a fresh money flow crossover like that. Money flow can be in the red, but there has to be some kind of a trend, right? It has to have already played out a little bit, which of course we don't have right now. Come back to the current price action, right? It's like, well, hey, like now you're longing fresh money flow crossover into the red, fresh 4-hour money flow crossover into the red. This is, I'm anticipating some kind of continuation down. Right, so if we did get the continuation down, this money flow came into the red a little more, I'd be much more likely to look for a strong bounce after that money flow is already played out a little bit. This might just be getting started. I think that's the simplest way to say it, right? Like, you don't want to long on that money flow being in the red as it's just getting started. You're going to anticipate some kind of continuation out, even if you fake back out into the green like we did back here. I don't know if you guys can see this, right? In the red, back in the green, but overall you keep trending out, right? So you want to give the money flow some time to play out into the red, which is why I'm not super stoked on this bullish divergence with money flow coming out. So I don't want to like spend too much time on that, but hopefully that makes sense. All right, let's see. Shout out to Flat Smack said there's only two certainties in life: death and Bitcoin halving cycles. And throw taxes on that list. Shout out to Flat Smack. I thought we could go down to 96K and still be in the uptrend because somebody explained this to me. What the heck is going on? Shout out to Bullish Bob. Well, the reason, right, if we were to come down, there was a point, right, back here where the 50-week moving average was much lower. So, for example, if you got to drop down a little bit earlier, let's say on this first approach of the value area high, we wound up getting like a big dump down to this POC. That could have still been an area to get a bounce and potentially see new all-time highs, right? Because if you got saved by that 50-week, it's still open, right? But now at this point, if we go down to $98,000 to $96,000, you're now breaking below the 50-week moving average, which, of course, as I mentioned earlier, as every single time has indicated the bear market is here, right? So it becomes a lot less of a significant level to get a higher low and a massive higher high on, because now this moving average moves up over time. So it's no longer confluent with that level. If we came down here, it would be a lot more healthy, in my opinion, to potentially look for higher lows and then an eventual higher high. But at this point, this has already moved up. By the time we get down to that $97,000 POC, you've already lost your massive level of support. And if we spend 2 weeks down here, 3 weeks down here, we've never been able to get back above that 50-week. Maybe this will be the first cycle. And again, guys, like all this, maybe this is all wrong. Maybe we just continue up, right? I'm only here to bring you the highest probability situation based off the charts. Maybe they're wrong this time. But it's just never, when you ask me what I'm doing, right, I am following the charts every single time. And again, you start thinking about the timing of the cycles, all that good stuff, right? It's just like, there's that time fib, October 20th, right? Like these are usually massive pivot points. If this is not a sweep into the 50-week for a massive pivot back up, could be the pivot down. So that's what we're looking at, guys. Pray for Bitcoin. Pray for the altcoins. I will keep you guys updated here every single step of the way. Shout out to Cryptic Crabman. Shout out to Jesse. Let's see. Mr. New Creation. Watch the RSI on the weekly. If BTC breaks around 44 and confirms, it's over. Shout out to Mr. New Creation. Probably lines up with exactly at least one of the things that we've been looking at here. Shout out to DCBC, said, hey, Frankie, I'm having to step out for a minute. Thanks, Frankie. If I miss you, going to try to jump back in here in a minute. Shout out to DCBC. Well, I don't know if you jumped back in yet or not, but that is the end of the show, guys. So watch those key levels of support. If you just tuned in, guys, scrub back to the beginning of the stream to get all the key levels on Bitcoin. We went over the local levels, the long-term bull market scenario, bear market scenario. But at this point, guys, we need some crazy fake outs on money flow. Hopefully we see it. Like I said, I am praying to be wrong. It is very rare here, guys, that I pray to be wrong. But if there is a time, it is right now. So thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you. I know it's not fun to look at the bearish case. I mean, hey, we looked at the bullish case as well. But yeah, smash that like button if you guys do not mind. It helps us out infinitely on this YouTube channel. Shout out to Gen Z. Shout out to Deer. Shout out to Skiing Rooster. Lit name, bro. Lit name. Shout out to Skiing Rooster. Shout out to JF Remix. Shout out to Perry. Shout out to Mr. New Creation. Cryptic Crabman. Calvin. Lucia. Flat Smack. Don't forget to flat smack that like button. Shout out to Flat Smack, our resident bull, baby. Shout out to you, man. Thank you for being here. That's all I got, guys. I'll keep you updated. If anything crazy happens before the live stream tomorrow, I'll drop a market update. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you turn on notifications so you don't miss the market updates. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. You guys thought I was frozen. Pray for Bitcoin. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong!
Second bell, where the f is it? They should have had them two bells ready. Spit shine for me.
Yeah. Had a up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test. Now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, so nobody's into me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working, I'm up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
Last time, just pump it one more time, bro. It's not fun. It's not fun. You're making me go on the chart. I don't want to call for downside, bro. People don't want to hear this. You got to help me out, dude. One more pump. You still got time. Q4 is not over. Pump it one more time. Please, for the love of God. Do it for my sanity, bro. Please. You'll think about it. I tried, guys. I tried. Satoshi's sick of me, guys. I'm trying the best I can to pump this thing back up. We'll see if he listens. But pray for Bitcoin. Get a little local bounce here off that 786. But scrub back to the beginning of the stream to find those local levels of resistance to the move to the upside. Thank you guys for being here. But yeah, shout out to Lasers Go Pew Pew. Shout out to Jesse. Shout out to the mods. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I gotta go. Mrs. Candles is tapping her foot at the door. Asta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming on my landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command, like, yeah, you about to see me on demand, like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't ever going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on the road.